Alright, let's look at my little food forest. I've got a dwarf apple tree. I can't remember the kinds of any of these, but I've got an apple tree here. I've got a peach, a plum, a apricot, and then that last one down there's a nectarine. We planted all 5 of these trees January 2013, and you can see the peach just exploded. The apple and the apricot have done okay, but those other 2, I thought I was going to lose them for the longest time. I kept babying them, water, fertilizer, that sort of stuff, and this year they finally got a bunch of leaves on them. They've started to really grow up a little bit. One of my ultimate goals in life was to have a food forest. I wanted nuts and trees and fruits and all sorts of things, but I always wanted something big. Well, I realize I'm in my mid-30s. I probably won't ever get that. So let's scale back a little bit and let's see what I can do here in my little yard. I decided I needed a fig, and I planted this thing, and right off it started producing some figs, and I've popped a whole bunch of them off in between each one of these leaves. I've gone and nicked them off. The bigger ones I decide to leave, but I don't want it to produce any more figs until it at least gets established. It's only been in the ground here about a month, along with these next couple. This is an all-in-one almond, and it's gone beautifully crazy. Along with from last Halloween, I let the kids get up on the roof here and throw their pumpkins off, and so I've had pumpkin plants sprouting up all over the yard. And when I dug this thing up, I had these couple of pumpkins come up, and so I've mowed around them because they're nice and close to these will wells. This is a mango, and I've got the card inside which says what the graft is here. Now, see, they took this tomato and they grafted in something else, but here I'm seeing on the side, from the tomato side, I'm also have another limb coming up. So I plan on leaving that and seeing if I can get 2 different kinds of mangoes. At least we'll see what happens there. And then these are my papayas. I know that I've read and I've seen and stuff, they need a lot of babying here in this Phoenix heat in the sun. And so I planted them in a spot that's underneath this big, beautiful mesquite tree. This mesquite tree is just gigantic, and it shades the mango, it shades the papaya, and I kind of like it there. They get good filtered sun, and then here after a while they get that afternoon sun if they want a little bit something more. Then I actually have a raised bed. The wooden raised beds are a whole lot cheaper, but I had this concrete or this block wall, and I didn't want to put in the wood. After a while, I've seen them rot. It does take a while, but I've seen them rot, and they also lose so much water through them. So I poured in a stem wall. I've got a little bit of concrete background. As in, I know some people that do concrete, so I had them come over and we put in some concrete. And then here I put in a pipe. It comes down into the ground, comes out, and then it shoots out in 2 different rows. So it goes down, 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 and then to each one of these little pop outs, it comes out into them. And that's how I water. Once I get the plants established, I water with that thing. And I found that they do really good after the plants are established. I have seen a lot of people that use the tree mulch, and I really think I'm going to start going that way if I can ever get one of these landscaping companies to return my call or email or text that I send them for free mulch. I've got some squash and zucchinis here. I planted tomatoes, as you can see right here, and then all in here. I planted tomatoes in this section here 2 years ago. Not a single tomato seed came up. So I mulched it all back together. We planted other stuff, and I let the kids plant this season, let them do what they wanted to, and now I've got tomatoes that are just coming up all over the place, even inside all the garlic here, as well as down there. And then as well, they started using some of the mulch that we have, and they started dumping it in here. And the mulch had a bunch of pumpkin seeds in it. As you can see, we've got pumpkins coming up, as well as another big pumpkin down here. Big, beautiful pumpkins growing. And then tomatoes. Couldn't find the wire baskets. I'm not quite sure what happened to them, and so we just kind of let them go along with the bell peppers here. And I'm really disappointed with myself that I didn't basket those up, just because they lay all over the place. I've lost tomatoes. I don't know quite what's ripe and what's not. And anyways, that's kind of my little garden. I think this next year I'm going to try something different. I'd like to try corn and potatoes. Just the whole thing, corn and potatoes. But this thing here, you know, we've all seen the Facebook and YouTube things where people take celery and put it in a little glass of water after they cut the celery off from the store, and it roots and grow it. Well, me and the kids decided to do that, and this is what started growing from that celery stalk. I mean, it's a stinking big old bush, and I love to tear off these little limbs here and rip off the leaves, and it's all going to flower now, but I dip those inside peanut butter and then eat them, and man, those are good. And then this was my baby. I got amaryllis is all growing throughout here, and I ended up getting thyroid cancer, and it kind of went to craps on me for about a year. I just wasn't able to maintain it, and now it's just full of grass. And so here this summer, I'm going to be ripping this whole thing apart. I'm going to take every little plant out of there and redo it all. Maybe only a fifth of my flowers bloomed, and that was really disappointing, because that's the whole purpose in having, you know, a flower bed for me, is to enjoy the flowers. And I like the amaryllises. They do really well for me. Same thing like I have over here in the garden. I have right down here by the spigot, I have an underground watering system that waters all of the roots of those amaryllises, and I only water them every once in a while, and it keeps the roots wet, and I don't have to worry about continually watering the topsoil and having all that evaporation. Now, we had hundreds of peaches. Oh, and we picked them all the other day, and they're just so juicy. They just taste fantastic. Oh, man, that's good. spit that seed out. Anyways, looks like there's a couple more peaches up in that tree that are starting to shrivel up, and we need to just get rid of. Birds have gotten them. Toss them down there and get her done. Last thing here in the front yard are my grapevines. I put up let's see if I can get this. I put up this wire trellis just with these eye bolts, anchored them in, got some cable, and stuck them on there. Wired them just hand tight, as tight as I could pull them with my arms. And so they're, you know, they're not a holy crap. And these eye bolts do bend. But I plan on having my grapevines here grow up this trellis so that I can sit here in my chair. I can look out, and from my head to the pole here, I can look out and see grapevines. And then I can also see sky. And I can lie to myself for just a minute that I don't live in the middle of a city. So that's the front yard. Hope you enjoy.